Hi friends, welcome back. Today I will talk about one of India's favorite writer, Ruskin Bond. He turned 91-year-old on 19th May. So I'll talk about his life and his writings. So let's get started. I don't know whether you are aware, he has written an excellent autobiography, which is Lone Fox Dancing. Um, and it came out in 2019, I think. And I have read it. And I have read his other books too. So let's get started. Um, Ruskin Bond is popularly seen as a writer who writes a lot of books for children, which is true. He's also seen as a writer who is based near Missouri in Landor. Again, very true, but there is a lot more to him than these two perceptions of him. So let's go back to the time he was born. 19th May 1934, he was born in Kasoli. And he was born in a hospital which was a veterinary hospital. And immediately after his birth, his father took up a job in Jamnagar in Gujarat as a teacher to the prince, and his father taught the prince of Jamnagar English language. So the formative years of like first 7 to 8 years of Ruskin Bond's life were spent in Jamnagar, and he talks about that time in his book, which is Lone Fox Dancing, and it's he has got some memories of that time. And sometime in early 40s, 41 or 42, the family moved back to Delhi. The Second World War has started, and the parents of Ruskin Bond were estranged, and they sort of kind of separated. Ruskin Bond was very close to his father, and he was sent to Bishop Cotton School in Shimla. It's one of the best schools even today in India. So he studied there in the boarding. His father was serving the army, and the father was based in Delhi, and he had a little connection with his mother. He was not close to her, and he mentions that in his book also. Then the tragedy struck. His father passed away when Ruskin Bond was, I think, about 14-year-old. It devastated him completely, and he took time to recover. So in his book he talks about the Bishop Cotton School, growing up in Shimla, spending time there, coming back to Delhi, staying with his father in the army barracks, and he has got fond memories of Delhi from that time, which he recreates in the book. And he was never close to his mother or the mother's side of the family, which was based in Dehradun. Then in his father passed away, and Ruskin Bond was getting, like, he was about 16 or 17-year-old. He had the option, because his father was a British, that he could go back to England and become a citizen there and live there. And he was not very keen, but he took up the option, and he went to England. He stayed there for 4 years till about 1955, by which time he had turned 21. His heart was in India, not in England. He tried his best to stay there, but somehow he found India to be his home, and he took a decision and he came back to India. He came to Delhi, and he stayed in a locality which is Rajouri Garden in West Delhi. So he had a friend, and his friend offered him that, till the time you find a job and you start earning, you can stay with my family. So it was a very big extended family living in Rajouri Garden area, a Sikh family. And Ruskin Bond talks a lot about 1955-56. So for about 3 years he stayed in Rajouri Garden area, and he talks about that area. So people who live in Delhi may be surprised. Rajouri Garden was a very small, tiny locality surrounded by fields. So places where you see the malls in Rajouri Garden and the multiplexes, it was all lush green fields, agricultural fields. And Ruskin Bond mentions that he would often walk from Rajouri Garden to Connaught Place via this area of what we know as Narayana and the Pusa Institute and other things. All these came up later on. So he would actually walk from Rajouri Garden to Connaught Place. And Ruskin Bond was trying to make a living as a writer. He was writing not just a novel, which became The Room on the Roof, which was one of his first successful novels. It came later on. He was writing for magazines and newspapers, writing stories, short stories and articles. And back then it was very difficult to make a living as a writer, because there was no internet, there was no social media. So you had to write articles, then post them by snail mail, by a normal post, and I hope that it is accepted and it is published and you are paid. So long, tough thing, and it was the story of Ruskin Bond for most of his life, till he actually became very successful in the 80s and 90s. So he struggled for a long time. So if you're a writer and if you're struggling, you should know that that's part of writer's life. Even Ruskin Bond had to go through it. Um, Normally people do not associate Ruskin Bond with love, romance, sex, but in his book he's mentioned about his feelings of love, his relationship with the girl he met, and the girl happened to be the sister of his friend he was staying with in the Jory Garden. And that story will come later on, because Ruskin Bond decides to move to the mountains sometime in 1960. He's looking for a place, and he actually had stayed for a short time in Dehradun, but he eventually found a place in Landor, which was some distance from Mussoorie, a very peaceful neighborhood. Even today it's peaceful, but yeah, now tourists are going there and staying there. So Ruskin Bond found a house there, and he has lived there since 1962-63. So that same house that he moved in 1962 or 63, he's still living there after more than 60 years. So that, and then there are a lot of people who came into his life. So coming back to his relationship, this girl he was in love with, he almost got married to her. She had come to visit him in Landor with her family, with her brother, and the brother found out, because Ruskin Bond and this girl were very close. He has not given the name of the girl. He's not given the name of the friend also, to make sure that that girl is respected and her identity is not revealed. But he was extremely, madly, deeply in love, and there are passages about not just love. Ruskin Bond was talking about passion also in his autobiography. So he's obviously a human being, and he has got all the feelings that we all have. Now we look upon him as a avuncular old uncle, but yeah, he is a human and he has lived a full life. So that relationship ended for some reason, and he had a few more relationships which he has hinted at in the book. By the way, you should pick up this book. It is such a readable autobiography, one of the best I have read. So coming back to Ruskin Bond now, he was trying to make a living. He was staying in Landor, away from the publishing world of Delhi and Bombay, and he was writing letters to editors and publishing firms, and slowly his work was getting picked up. One thing about Ruskin Bond's writing that you should know, if you are an aspiring writer or if you are an avid reader, Ruskin Bond writes in a very simple language, and it is very difficult thing to do, to write in a simple language. It is somewhat easier to write complex English, not very readable, but it is very difficult. It takes years of training to write English that is simple, readable and engaging. So Ruskin Bond is a master of that. So if you're an aspiring writer, please pick up any Ruskin Bond book. He has a way of telling a story in the simplest way, and over the years he has spun many stories about life in Dehradun. His first successful novel, Room on the Roof, is a brilliant coming of age story. Like, it's a engaging novel which a young student can read and even an adult can read, and you can benefit from it. It is such an uplifting and interesting story, and it will take you back to your own childhood. And that book is obviously set in the 40s Dehradun, and he has written many books about which are set in Dehradun and that entire region of Mussoorie and Landor. There are a lot of interesting characters in his autobiography that come, like there's Sulekha Sikri, who is an actress who passed away recently, and she had done many roles, including the one in a movie called Badhai Ho, which came out in 2018. So Sulekha Sikri is actually a character. I mean, she features in the book, in his autobiography. So does Nasiruddin Shah and many other people. So you should read the book to find out more. Coming back to Ruskin Bond's story, a lot of people may not know that Ruskin Bond is one of the very few writers in India which actually has been tried in court for writing obscene sexual book. So the book in question is Strangers in the Night, and it was published in a magazine in a serial form sometime in the late 70s. And there was a police case, and the court ordered Ruskin Bond to come and attend the proceedings, failing which he would be arrested. So Ruskin Bond got very scared, and Vinod Mehta was the editor of the magazine. Somehow, Ruskin Bond kind of got out of the trouble without too much damage. So that book is still in publication. You can pick it up from Amazon. It's called Strangers in the Night. It's a novella. It's a very thin book, very well written again, and you will see a different side of Ruskin Bond. He has also written stories about ghosts, which is something that does not interest me much, but there are a lot of people who love ghost stories. So yeah, you can pick up that book also. Apart from that, yeah, I mean, I can go on talking about Ruskin Bond. I met him a few times, sometime in 2004 and 5, when I was working for a company which had a hotel in Missouri, and there was one idea that we had, that there should be a Ruskin Bond corner. In that connection, I met him. So he's a genuinely simple man, extremely simple man, and sometimes it is such a obvious thing that simplicity makes life so good, but we in urban living, chasing material things, sometimes forget it. Ruskin Bond is an embodiment of somebody who has lived by the dictum that simple life is often the most fulfilling and meaningful life. So yeah, and he still meets people who go to. Only thing is that don't go in the afternoon when he's taking a nap. He doesn't like it. Other time you can actually wait patiently outside his house, and he comes out and he'll meet you, and he can sign books for you and pose for pictures. But it is best not to disturb him too much. And what about, okay, Ruskin Bond has had a collaboration with Vishal Bhardwaj. There was a movie called Blue Umbrella, and then Saat Khoon Maaf. I will do a separate video of Saat Khoon Maaf because it's a story, and it is featured in a book by Ruskin Bond, which has got other stories, and that's a separate review. I'll talk about that some other time, maybe sometime soon. So thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you again soon, and I'll start posting more regularly. My promise to you, I'll post one video every day. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.